Hello there, my name is Corey, and I am a Star War.
And my name is Corey, and I am a Star War.
And my name is Jim, and I am a Star War.
And we
are a Star War. That was pretty good.
That's not bad. We're just winging it every time. We'll make it work.
All
right, Brown Leader.
That was the worst one we've ever done.
Brown Leader checking in. Brown Leader checking in. Today is Attack of the Clones Day.
Episode 2.
Episode dose.
Corey's going to take the lead on this one because he has all the notes and he made all the notes. These were his. This and his was his idea.
Preparation.
And before we get started, I just want to say that I was supposed to take notes based on the things that Corey wants to discuss, and I didn't because I got so wrapped up in the movie because it had been a while since I had seen it. And so I was like, I can either...
Been a while.
So I thought I could either stop myself and make notes as I was going or just enjoy the movie. And I rather enjoyed the movie.
I want to jump in and just say I like this movie a lot more than I thought I did.
Yeah.
So with that, let's jump into it.
Yeah.
I found a lot that I like. I wouldn't say I like the movie, but I found a lot of things that I like in the movie. So
we're not discussing it as cinema. We're just discussing it as...
That's right.
Yeah.
So Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, released on May 16th, 2002.
Halfway between my birthday and Jim's birthday.
Yeah. And that's about 3 years after Episode 1 came out.
Yep.
20 years ago?
And so now this movie comes out and we're all kind of like, ooh, maybe that first one wasn't so great, but maybe this one will be better. This one will be better.
Right.
This one will be better. Anakin's a grown up now. He can fight. He's got a sword.
Right.
Anyway, written by George Lucas and Jonathan Hales, which the only thing I found on that guy was he also wrote some Chronicles of Young
Indiana Jones
gotcha. TV show. So he's worked with Lucas before. Budget on this movie was $115 million. The box office was $653.8 million. I think we would call that a flop today. Back then it was good.
Yeah.
It was released on DVD. This is funny, on November 12th, 2002, and it sold 4 million copies of the DVD on the first day.
I'm pretty sure I bought one of them.
Yeah. We were all about the physical media in 2002.
We did, yeah, of course.
Yes. Oscars, it was only nominated for one, Best Visual Effects, which it lost to Lord of the Ring, The Two Towers.
I mean, I don't argue with that.
No. Let's see what else. Natalie Portman did win a Teen Choice Award.
Good for her.
So,
she had some of the heaviest lifting in this movie.
It's not all bad news. Yeah. She had to fall in love with a genocidal maniac.
Yes. And sell that.
Yeah.
To us.
Who was just like, hey, I wiped out a village. And she's like, you want a spoon? That's what happened in this movie. What else? This happens 10 years after Phantom Menace. Chronologically, like in the story, I mean. It's been 10 years since we saw little baby Anakin at Qui-Gon's funeral.
Yeah.
And in this movie, we visit lots of planets. We go to Naboo. We go to Coruscant. We go to something I can't read. Tatooine, Geonosis. Camino. I think that's all of them.
That's a lot.
It's close, yeah.
It's a lot. Yeah, the first movie only had 2 planets in it. Naboo and Coruscant.
That's right.
So we're expanding. That's all the facts. That's the facts. So feelings. Just open up the floor here. How do we feel about this movie?
Corey?
Rewatching it. How do we feel about it when it came out? Where does it fit in your personal rankings?
Yeah, I mean, as I said a minute ago, it had been quite a while since I had actually sat down and seen the whole thing. So I caught myself being wrapped up in it. Maybe it was just because I hadn't seen it in a while, but things that it didn't feel like it dragged as much as it did the last time I saw it. There were just slog moments in Phantom Menace. Mentis. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Thank
you. Welcome. But I don't think that any of those really stood out in this one like they did in Mentis. it moved pretty well, I thought. You know, I mean, there were some things I would change about it. Like, I don't know, some of the dialogue. And we've discussed Hayden's acting before, but that's not his fault. You know, you can blame that solely on the director. We know the man can act. We've seen him do it. You know, and at the time he was a kid, you know, or a young man, a very young man. Mm-hmm. So it's not his fault. I mean, there were some other times in the movie when he was actually good, but there were quite a few moments where he felt stilted.
He just had nothing to work with, dialogue-wise.
Right.
I hate sand.
Not his fault. Yeah, I mean, I don't remember how I felt about it at the release. I'm sure I enjoyed it. Obviously, at that point, we had a little while of time with the Mentis, like you discussed, and we were probably thinking, this one's got to be better.
Well, I feel like when Mentis came out, I feel like I went and saw it in the theater 3 times. I think I only saw this once in the theater.
I think I did twice.
I think I saw it twice.
I think it might be like the one I've rewatched the least of all. It is
definitely the one that I've rewatched the least, and like actually sitting down and watching it from beginning to end, because I would always skip the parts that I really didn't like.
Yeah. I think that.
So this is the first time. I can't remember the last time I watched this movie like from beginning to end.
I think I watched it in COVID times.
Gotcha.
When I watched everything.
I still would have skipped it. Skipped the parts.
It occurred to me rewatching it that like obviously, you know, before this we had the original trilogy and now he's putting out his prequel trilogy. And I feel like he knew that there's going to be a parallel to like, oh, the second one was Empire, which is beloved. People think that might be the best one ever. And maybe it is. But I feel like going into this one, he was like, okay, I got to do my Empire of this saga. So it can't really end on like a big bravado, like triumphant moment. He's got people separated for most of the movie. So Obi-Wan's off on his thing while Anakin is
with Padme,
protecting Padme.
Somebody lost a limb.
Yeah. Yes. Somebody gets their hand cut off. Yeah. So like a lot of parallels in there.
The final shot is the same framing as Luke and Leia looking out at the star system with the droids off to the right. It's Padme and Anakin with the droids off to the right. It's the same shot. Yeah.
Yeah. So lots of parallels there. Is this as good as Empire Strikes Back? No. This falls short a little bit. To me, one of the issues I have, because it's 10 years after the first one, I feel like it kind of like already makes the first one irrelevant. Like you're watching the movie and you're like, oh, who's Dooku? Okay, there's no Maul. Okay, there's no, like everything that got set up in there. Like now we're relearning a whole new thing. Like if Dooku was around and he was off doing Sidious's work 10 years ago, why wasn't that in the first movie? Why didn't we know anything about these people? So it's one of those, he's Dooku feels to me like he's kind of like disposable. Like, like we're not putting a bunch into this.
And he kind of is, because he's pretty much thrown away very quickly in the beginning of the third movie.
Right.
But he does have a lot of weight and power in the Clone Wars animated series. So, you know, that's another example of them retconning a movie and making it better after the fact with one of the TV shows.
Right.
One of the things that I paid attention to a lot was, and it was a thing I'd noticed, I'd seen, you know, people breaking it down on TikTok or whatever, but is when he has Obi-Wan captive and he's in that little spinning circle and he's just basically telling him the truth about the Jedi. It's like, and Obi-Wan's like, no.
He lays everything out. He's like, there's a Sith in charge.
Yeah.
And he's like, come on.
Yeah.
No, we would know.
Quit playing doo-doo.
but yeah, looking at that now, because like, you know, it never really had that much gravity to me before, but now it's like, oh, okay, yeah. He's just fucking blind to it.
Yeah,
all the Jedi were.
There's a thing that I think I've talked about on here before where I'm always grappling with, did George Lucas write these 3 movies to show us how dumb the Jedi were? Or did he write them thinking like, I'm just going to do a good story? And then we all were like, God, the Jedi come off kind of dumb in this. Because this opens with the entire Jedi Council sitting in Palpatine's office. Like they're all like they all had to go and hang out with him, and they're all sitting in a row talking to him, and like you see Yoda look at him and say, and he says like, well, the dark side's got us pretty cloudy. We can't really tell what's going on. He's talking to Darth Sidious when he's saying that. And you're like, wow.
And Palpatine is like, well, I'll be go to hell.
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder how that happened.
He's sitting there. He's like, man, this is really working. You guys can't. Oh, did I just shoot some lightning? I don't know where that came from. That's not me.
And I don't think that he's doing anything. I don't think he's using any Sith magic to make that happen. I think the Jedis were so hung up on themselves and so sure of themselves. Hubris. That was it. Right. He just snuck in through the side hatch and had a plan.
Yeah.
Somehow. Oh, wait. That's later.
No, that's later.
That's a different movie.
That's a different movie. Corey, what are you eating over there?
I'm eating these nuts.
We have a Christmas party going on while we record today. We have presents and snacks and treats and puppies all around us.
Toys and bourbon and beers and these nuts on the table.
And some nuts, some these nuts. All right.
And also for Christmas this year, one of the Coreys and both of the Jims got dogs. So there's only one Jim.
Check our Instagram feed for pictures later.
Fresh pups.
So I had a note here. I got no logical order to my notes here, but because you mentioned the sand line, I made a note that's I said the cringe moments in this movie weren't as bad as I remembered them. They're still cringy, but they weren't as bad.
Yeah,
and I'm giving Anakin a little bit of grace. The sand line specifically, to me, is fine if you think about it coming from a teenager who is, my note here says, clearly has snakes in the brain, right? I mean, think about him being so powerful with the Force, right?
Right.
And imagine that's like, I don't know, going through puberty or something, right? Like he's got no control over all of that. It makes sense. You know, he's trying to relate to this person. He's not, I don't know. I'm not trying to make it a good line. It's not a good line. I just had a little more patience for him this go around when I think about a teenager who doesn't know anything, but thinks they know everything.
Right.
Which is most teenagers.
And so when I watched this, I didn't have a teenager, and now, you know, my son has grown up. And so I've seen James like that. And I'm sure I've been like that. And so I saw that a little differently this time. It's still cringy. It's just, to me, it wasn't as bad as I remembered it being.
To me, it just felt like every scene they were like, we have to throw in here how angsty and mad he is. Because we have to show that he's going to be Vader. And so like, it feels like at the drop of a hat, he's like talking to somebody. He's like, Padme, I haven't seen you in 10 years. You're beautiful. I'm in love with you. That motherfucker Obi-Wan will not let me do what I want. I'm smarter than him and I'm better than him. And I'm like, whoa, why did you just flip out and start yelling about your mentor to your girlfriend that you haven't talked to in 10 years? Like, weird choice.
I did like the way that they call him out publicly often in the first act of the movie.
They do. Which is kind of humiliating.
It's very humiliating. And to me, those moments are cringy, but I think correctly so, right? Like,
Obi-Wan does it and Padme does it.
Yes, you're supposed to feel awkward as hell because everybody else in the room is like, ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
When he's like, excuse me, Your Highness, I'm in charge of security here.
And she's like, you can go and sit in back of the car.
Shut up, child. Yes. You know, I'm a retired queen.
A duly elected queen.
I'm a duly elected queen at the age of 12, but there's a new 13-year-old in charge now, so I'm just a senator because Naboo politics makes sense.
Right.
All right. Anything else for... I guess our big round one finale question is, what does this movie have that the 11 or the other 10 movies don't have?
I think this one has at least Kenobi's story arc as a very old school detective thriller vibe. I do like that about this movie. And like, if you think they don't usually do this in the Star Wars movies, but like Rogue One had a very decisive World War II vibe to it. This one to me has a very old school noir thriller vibe to it.
Yeah. Solving a mystery.
Worms coming in through the window, trying to attack the senator.
Mm-hmm. Worms.
Spy shit.
Who were put there by a droid, which was hired by an assassin, who was hired by a bounty hunter, who was hired by Dooku, who was hired by Sidious to kill Padme. It took like 12 people to try to attack Padme.
I like it.
Follow the trail.
What do you think? What does this movie have that the other ones don't have?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, romance is a big part of this movie. Mm-hmm. Or
true.
Hormones, maybe, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I do have a note here that says Anakin is horny.
Yeah. He is horny.
There's a lot of that happening between, obviously between Anakin and Padme. Because, I mean, you get that in some of the other movies, but it's a major point in this movie. And him just trying to figure all that out. Mm-hmm. He hasn't seen her in forever. He's like, I'm in love with you. And she's like, you don't even fucking know me, dude.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then he's like, I killed all these people. And she's like, maybe you are kind of cute.
So, right. So on that scene, after he kills the Tusken Raiders, really before, so they do something interesting with that whole sequence there. So when Anakin and Padme are with Lars and
Beru,
the father. So Lars is the father. Owen and Beru are also there. Lars is explaining what happened to Shmi and how she got taken. He says they may walk like man, but they're vicious, mindless monsters. Oof. Right? He had to dehumanize them before Anakin goes and kills all of them. And then when Anakin is confessing to Padme about killing the Tuskens, he says, they're like animals and I slaughtered them like animals. Mm-hmm. Right? Because they're not animals, right? I mean, he just literally says the women and children, they're not animals.
I killed them all, even the women and children.
It's tough.
It is tough.
It's tough. Only to be topped by murdering a room full of children in the next movie. So, it's rough.
Do you guys think that Palpatine had something to do with Shmi being abducted and taken? I wasn't sure if that was something that was just a fan theory or if that was in canon somewhere, and I couldn't find confirmation about it or not, but it tracks with what Palpatine was trying to do with Anakin by taking everything away from him and isolating him over time. And he also, in that scene when he's throwing the fit in front of Padme after he's killed the Tuskens, he says, I'm going to be the most powerful Jedi, and I'm even going to figure out how to keep people from dying. So, I mean, planted that seed in that movie before Revenge, but I don't know if that was true that Palpatine
he had already said that at one point about keeping people alive before, I believe, earlier in the movie. Right?
Possibly.
And then he says it again, and you're like, oh. He for real.
Motivation.
Yeah.
Check off the screenwriting list. Motivation.
Reasons.
All right. That's round one. Round two is lightning round. What's the best scene in this movie? If you can only watch one thing again.
I like the execution scene when they avoid being executed.
No, like the gladiator pit kind of thing.
Ray Harryhausen style.
Yeah.
Can I pick two?
You can name several nominees, and then we'll pick one.
Jango Fett dropping the seismic charge in the asteroid field. Classic.
That was actually my answer for what does this movie have that no other movie has.
Incredible.
That's what it has.
And then Jango Fett and Obi-Wan fighting on the platform on Kamino is an incredible scene. That is one of my favorite scenes.
I have made contact with the Prime Minister of Kamino. He is building a clone army.
Right.
Classic.
How about you?
I was going to say the fight scene. Also, the Jango Fett Obi-Wan fight scene. I like that one the most.
Is awesome. How about you? How about you, listeners? What's your favorite scene from that movie? Let us know.
Smash that like. Let us know. What's the best line of this movie? I have a couple that I wrote down. I'll just read what I wrote down.
I'm just going to listen to y'all because I didn't take notes.
I don't mind flying, but what you're doing is suicide. Obi-Wan. Pretty good.
That's a good one.
When he's sitting down with the guy who is a weapons expert, but also a short order cook in a diner.
Drax, right?
Drax says, "You Jedi appreciate the difference between knowledge and wisdom."
That is a good line.
It's a good line, even though that man, his whole face looks like a vagina.
Let's pause it there. Our lunch just got here.
Oh, we'll be right back after these messages
from our sponsors.
Hey, do you love jizz? Do you spend your afternoons in a cantina drinking blue milk and listening to jizz? Do you like Max Rebo, the Galactic Jizz Whalers? Catch a speeder to Tatooine and take your lady to Jabba's palace. Let some of our fresh, hot jizz wash over you.
All right, we're back. We had pizza and breadsticks.
Yum.
Welcome.
We still have some items to discuss from the last question, which was your favorite line.
Yeah, favorite line. Do y'all have any others? I hate sand. Not okay.
It's not my favorite line, but I noted this line when I was watching the movie. So this is a conversation between Padme and Anakin. I believe it's in the first act. The day we stop believing democracy can work is the day we lose it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good line.
That's not bad.
I think that line hits.
Mm-hmm. There's definitely like a story through these three where, oh my god,
oh my god, there's a microphone.
What was that?
There's a story. There's like a through line in this trilogy where he's talking about politics and he's talking about how peaceful republics fall to empire and stuff like that. So Luke is trying to get deep with shit like that.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I think that my favorite line is Jedi business. Go back to your drinks. That's a good line. He like gets to be a badass for a second.
That is a good line.
Jedi business. Go back to your drinks.
That's pretty good.
Who's the best hero in this movie? Best good guy? Probably Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan's pretty badass
He's
in this
trying
movie.
real hard, yeah.
He's pretty badass in this movie.
Anakin's too whiny.
He's got a lot going on. I don't know, discovering a whole clone army.
Mm-hmm.
He does a lot.
Trying to
He
keep
has a lot of work.
his young boy in line.
There's really a lot of Jedis that don't do nothing throughout these trilogies. Like, there's how many Jedi are there? 10,000?
I guess, yeah.
Obi-Wan does everything. Every time something comes up, they're like, call Obi-Wan from the other side of the galaxy. He needs to come here and do this.
Right. He's the wolf.
Yeah. Best villain of this movie. So we've got Sidious, kind of. We got Dooku. I don't think that we see. Oh, we have Jango Fett.
He's not maybe a villain, but he's definitely on the bad guys team.
Mm-hmm.
The dude from the Techno Union.
Oh,
that guy's pretty cool.
Like old school robot thing that pops up for 1 second.
Uh-huh.
He is rad looking.
Yep. I like that one.
He needs his own Disney Plus show.
But I would probably have to say Jango Fett.
Yeah. Dooku never did it for me. Side character, we've already talked about. What was his name?
Drax.
Yeah. Drax is pretty good.
I mean, I'm not argumentative on any of that.
It's very weird. The dude that bought and married Shmi, the way he talks about like how she's such a gentle, sweet lover. She was so good. He says
Should
that,
we
like,
save that? Should we save that for the sex episode?
That'll come up on the sex episode for sure because they banged and he loved it.
How do you think he lost his leg?
Jimmy, show is funny.
All right, so best location. We said we go to like 6 planets in this movie. There's a bunch of different cities, a bunch of different settings.
Which one's your favorite, Hannah?
I'm still kind of partial to Geonosis, where they had the
gladiator scene.
Execution.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Geonosis, I guess.
Geonosis.
So the Geonosians, who have wings and look like bugs, they build stuff though.
Mm-hmm.
That's their thing. They're building the robots there. The droid army is being built there. They're also building.
But are they though, or did the leader of the Geonosians just make his planet available? Because remember when 3PO is head swapped and he hasn't head swapped yet. When he first walks into the factory, he says something along the lines of machines building machines. This is madness or something like that.
Oh, cats and dogs living together.
Yeah, I don't.
Mass hysteria.
I don't know that the Geonosians are doing the building. I think they're just giving up their space.
Maybe that planet is just full of
Techno Union.
A lot of the whatever metal for smelting droids out of. Maybe it's a lot of natural resources.
There's a lot of schmelting.
Yeah, you got to go somewhere and schmelt all that if you're going to make a droid army. You can't bring that
schmelt in.
No. You're not schmelting in space. No. You need a planet.
Lord, who does that?
Nobody. Okay. Best ship of this movie. We start getting, toward the end of the movie, we start getting a lot of the Republic stuff that we like the big Venator.
Right.
Venator. How do you say that word? The Venator, the Star Destroyer before the Star Destroyer. Really good Lego set out for that this year. We see Obi-Wan's little Jedi starfighter. That's a cool little ship.
Slave One
with the
Slave One
hyperdrive ring. Can we call it Slave One, or is it Fire Spray Mark II?
I think they've officially changed the name, but
it's called Slave One.
It's Slave One.
Yeah,
that's his name.
Yes, but for me, my favorite ship isn't in the movie very long. It's that 1950s B-2 bomber looking thing, that chrome bomber that the Queen, there you go, that the Queen brings in at the very, very beginning, or not the Queen, Padme, and then they blow it up on the landing deck. That was cool.
I am currently wielding my mini.
That explosion is like the first thing that happens in this movie, and it looks a whole lot like when something blows up on GoldenEye Nintendo 64. I do not like the...
Oh, we're going to get into that later.
Oh, yeah. All right. So best chase scene. It's got to be when he's chasing Jango and he uses the...
Yeah, the seismic charge. But them chasing after the assassin on Coruscant's pretty good, too.
That's true.
And that has one of your favorite lines from Obi-Wan.
That's true. That's good.
And I was reading some of the trivia on IMDb about this movie, and apparently in the portion of that chase sequence where Anakin does pitches the craft going straight down.
Yeah.
Apparently in the cloud of vehicles, there's an X-Wing being chased by 2 TIE fighters that they rendered in there. Yeah.
I believe it. I never think to look in the background in those shots. And I know that there's always...
And apparently there's an asteroid in the Kenobi Jango Fett chase sequence. There's an asteroid that is
a potato?
It's that ram-looking monster that's in the arena at the end that Anakin ends up riding.
Yeah.
It's that model just floating in the asteroid
field. Best fight. So we have a very big... This movie ends with a lightsaber duel. Or not a duel, really. There's 3 Jedis versus Dooku.
I still think it's Jango Fett and Obi-Wan. That's a better fight scene.
I agree.
It's a better fight scene. The Yoda fighting Dooku is
Upsets
silly.
me.
It's silly looking.
It's dumb.
Remember seeing that for the first time?
I was pretty hyped when he brings the lightsaber out.
Right.
But
and then he starts bouncing around.
Yeah.
So while we're here, let's stop for a second.
Sidebar.
I'd like to give out an award now. It's called the They Fly Now Award for the biggest anti-canon moment. So what part of this movie happens where you're like, wait a minute, that's not okay. That's not canon. So let's see. First of all, I have 4 possibilities for this award. Obi-Wan sees Jango Fett and doesn't say, oh, he's wearing Mandalorian armor. He's this version of Obi-Wan has never seen a Mandalorian before.
But this version of Obi-Wan technically had a relationship with
years.
Yeah.
Spent so much time on
knows a little bit about Mandalore.
Yeah. Part 2, and we'll see this again in the 3rd movie, but R2-D2 can fly.
Yes.
He has jets that come out of that would have come in so handy in every other moment of his life. Obi-Wan can send a hologram message across the galaxy instantly from his little
with no
thing.
delay.
No delay. How does that work? Sometimes they'll just be like, we can't reach them. We can't get there. We can't have fuel. And then sometimes they're like, yeah, we can do whatever we want. Oh, I can't reach him on that planet. I'll bounce it off Tatooine. And then number 4 would be Yoda the Flying Ninja.
He flies now.
Those are my 4 moments where it's like, oh, why doesn't that happen in any of the other 10 movies if this is possible? Like so retroactively, the first one would be the Force running that we see once in the first movie. And this time I'm going to say it's Yoda. I don't like seeing Yoda bounce around. He's 900 years old 30 years from now.
Right.
So now he's 870 years old.
I do like, though, at the end of that fight sequence, like you see his body posture go back into being hunched, and he Force grabs his cane and he goes back to it. I thought that was fun. I mean, because you can't. Right, he got tired. He had a little burst of energy. It's like these puppies that we got. Feed them a little kibble and they run around like crazy, and then 30 minutes later they're like, time for bed.
Yeah, time for a 2-minute nap.
We may not get more recorded after this because we.
Time to play with puppies.
Puppies. Anything else? Let's see. Best outfit from this movie. It's got to go to Padme. She's wearing a white outfit, reminiscent of Leia.
Yep.
Sexy
on
times.
Geonosis.
Yep. Best toy from this movie.
I don't remember. At this point, I probably wasn't buying as many toys.
See, I bought a lot of toys for James.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Right.
Carter didn't do Star Wars very much. Like he'll watch it now, but Carter didn't enjoy Star Wars as much as I wanted him to. At this point, what did you say, 2002?
Yeah.
So I met Jamie in 2002. I bought toys every once in a while. I do remember I bought a Kit Fisto action figure. At one point from this, because
I bought all kinds of toys. I bought the Clone Trooper transport. I got James a bunch of the Clone Troopers, and then my favorite toy that I got for James was the Slave One because it had the seismic charge.
Yes.
And it was the same model as the toy that we grew up playing with, just painted different.
Yeah.
And then they had that little seismic thing that was cool.
Did we have anything about cameos in there? Is there a thing?
Cameos, Easter eggs, whatever. Sure.
We do get it. Okay, we'll get to that. Or is that next?
No, you can do it now.
Anthony Daniels' only appearance, right? Not as C-3PO. He's in the bar.
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
That is right.
I had forgot about it, and then I saw him. I was like, oh, it's Anthony Daniels.
Nice. All right. Best use of the Force in this movie? When they're having a romantic dinner and he makes an apple float and then cuts it in half and then she eats it.
Mm-hmm.
This movie sucks.
I think best use of the Force for me would be when Dooku and Yoda are having a Force off, right? And Dooku's like throwing rocks and shit at him, and Yoda's just catching them and throwing them around, and then Dooku hits him with the lightning. And he bounces it off the first time.
He makes a little ball.
And then Dooku hits him again with the Force lightning, and Yoda just kind of grabs it and puts it in his shirt for later.
He's like, I will eat this tomorrow.
Right.
Dum dum. That is a good line, though, because Dooku's like, obviously, this will not be settled by our knowledge of the Force, but our handiness with a lightsaber.
With a lightsaber.
That was good.
Good casting, though, to put fucking Dracula.
Oh, absolutely.
Because at this time he was also in Lord of the Rings, and we were seeing a fucking Christopher Lee Renaissance.
Right, Sauron and Dooku
was there for
in the
it.
same year.
Fuck yeah, man.
And Two Towers took their
Oscar.
Can't believe they nominated this for Best Special Effects. It's dog shit. I hate this movie. Everything
I got
looks
a note
like
on here.
Everything is a cartoon.
This movie needs to be re-rendered. Like, you know how
With
Lucas,
new graphics
you know how, right? Like this movie needs and would greatly benefit from a remastering.
Yeah.
Like, I know Lucas likes to go back in and tweak and change, and just leave the movie as it is. Just run it through another render engine. The technology has changed so much in the 20 years. I mean, there are sequences where I'm like, that's just a gray box in the background.
Right. Yeah.
There's
so many scenes where you can see them standing there and holding guns and going pew pew, and you're like, you guys are just standing in a bunch of circles looking at lights. This is so sad. They have no idea what they're looking at, and I don't know what they're looking at.
Right.
And I can see it. Wokeness. Is this movie woke? Is this movie not woke? So it got good, bad, woke moments. They are animals, so I killed them like animals. That whole stuff is
that's not good.
Not good. Especially because we learn later that they are a culture and they are a people. They
had to have that, though.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Anakin's the hero-ish, right?
Mm-hmm. But there is also a little exchange about pronouns in this movie. Which is very current when he says he came in here to hide, and he says, I think he is a she and she is a changeling.
That's right. That's right.
So, little pronoun action. It's woke. All right, so add an F-bomb to this movie.
Anakin's just, when we gonna fuck? I would like to fuck. Could we please? What? Tell me that the middle third of this movie isn't all about him trying to hook up with Padme.
I'm going back to Shmi's funeral, and that old man sitting in the wheelchair, and he's like, she was a sweet fuck. I'll miss her.
How about you, Hannah?
I think when we did the lightning round on this the last time in the mini episode, it was somewhere in sand. It's fucking everywhere, or I fucking hate sand. Yeah, that's still pretty good.
I think that's probably the answer.
Yeah.
That's probably the right one.
Sweet fuck is pretty good.
All right, that's section 2. We're on to section 3. Let's get nerdy. Do we do a?
I think we have to take a word from our sponsors.
Let's get a word from our sponsors.
Let's get a word in.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. If you're on Tatooine, get your hut down to Mos Espa Pod Race Circuit. We've got Sebulba, Young Skywalker, pit droids, non-stop action. Will pesky Tusken Raiders murder your favorite pod racer? Will a Jedi cheat you out of your favorite slave? You'll find out this and more on Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
Pod race!
And we're back.
Welcome back.
We're back.
We are back after our sponsors have graced us and given us a little quid. What do we got next?
Actually, they pay in credits.
They pay in credits.
This is the third act of our program today. Is called Let's Get Nerdy With It. No more set questions. Now we're just diving in.
Let's go.
I will start. I don't think they show Anakin doing anything wrong in this movie other than the genocide, which obviously is
That's a big one.
It's a big one. But what I mean is it seems to be that like Padme a little bit and mostly Obi-Wan is trying to keep him in check, trying to train him, trying to like, you know, mold his mind and make him make good decisions. And like in the chase in the beginning, he's like, I told you about this. Yes, I know, Master. I'm sorry, Master. He's constantly doing that. I do try, Master. I want to listen to you. And then he like jumps out of the thing.
I hate it when he does that.
But he lands directly where he's supposed to land. He catches the bad guy. He does everything perfectly, like what he's supposed to do. The mission accomplished because of Anakin.
Right.
If you want to show us that he's being, you know, petulant and, you know, a little too much bravado for his youth or whatever, like that would be cool. But like you should show him like doing some things wrong or show some things not working out. Everything works out for him in this movie until he gets his arm cut off at the end. But
right.
I just feel like there was a little missing there where it was like the whole movie is supposed to be showing Anakin as this like rebellious teenager, but he's actually just he's a little hot-headed, but he's good at it.
That's true.
He's not failing at anything.
I mean, there's at least 2 times, if not 3 times in the movie where Obi-Wan kind of assumes that Anakin is doing something outside of scope, but it's really Padme's idea.
Right.
Right. Like using her as bait.
And they're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Right. It was her idea and Anakin can pull it off. And then when they get the message that Obi-Wan's in trouble and they're on Tatooine, it's, Anakin's like, Mace Windu just told me I can't even step outside of this little 1 square meter that I'm on, because if I do, he'll know and I'll be in trouble. I'll get Jedi detention.
Yeah.
And Padme's like, well, he also said you have to protect me, so I'm going.
Yeah.
Right?
So yeah, it's her idea. But if they don't do that, is Obi-Wan killed on Geonosis?
Probably.
Because no one else comes to save him until they call everybody.
Right.
So there's that. We already talked about Palpatine's office. I saw a clip. I guess it's from Family Guy. I don't like that show, but this was very funny where they were just like,
why does he have a desk?
they're like, why does he have a desk? Was he doing a bunch of paperwork before they showed up?
Why does he have a desk?
Filling out his expense reports for all the contractors building the new Death Star off screen. Yeah. What does he do at his desk? I've never seen anyone pick up a pen in any of this. In this whole universe, people aren't writing stuff down.
No, can they write?
Until you get to Cassian, to Andor, they all pushing pencils and shit, basically, right? At their little desks.
True. They have cubicles and stuff in that show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get a whole series about those motherfuckers.
Can Luke Skywalker read? We don't see him reading.
We don't see him reading.
Just saying. I do think that Coruscant looks too much like Blade Runner. I think the city. I thought it looked too much. I was like, the neon and the stuff. Come up with a couple of things where you're like, oh, I've never seen a futuristic city that has that.
Right.
Like ever since Blade Runner, all anybody can think of is like, what if the hologram was really big? What if it was a giant hologram? Anakin has the worst Riz. Oh, so I work with young people and I'm trying to stay up on current slang.
Okay.
So Riz is short for charisma, and it's what you do to make a lady like you is you use your Riz.
You use your Riz, which is not the Force.
Anakin has poor Riz.
Very poor Riz.
She's like just trying to like hang out and talk, and he's like, I'm gonna be a great Jedi. Obi-Wan. He doesn't get it.
I haven't seen you in 10 years. I love you.
Also, I love you. Also, what?
I called you an angel the last time I saw you.
You're still an angel.
You're still an angel. Couldn't one of these people does the Jedi have money? The Jedi, they should have money. Do they have any money? They have a budget. They have spaceships.
Yeah. That's a great question.
The ex-queen of Naboo, she's rolling. She still has people dressed like her, and she's not even the queen anymore. She still has body doubles.
Right.
She's rolling with a deep entourage. She's got money. She's got a budget. Nobody was like, look, I'm just going to go buy your mom and save her. Like nobody, Yoda wasn't
Nobody
like,
offered.
Yoda, when he first meets Anakin as a baby, he's like, you love your mom too much, and that's just making you scared and angry, and that's going to lead to you becoming Darth Vader and killing everybody. And nobody was like, well, can we just buy his mom and move her to Florida? And then he doesn't have to fucking worry about that anymore?
He's not supposed to go get her anyway because they're supposed to be detached from all that shit.
Right. But wouldn't he feel a little more detached if his mom wasn't
A slave?
sex slave being destroyed by a pack of wild sand people? What also, since we're here, what she was there for a month, tied up to that wooden rack thing where he finds her. What's happened? What's her life like for the last month? Is it just constant abuse, hard, like the worst things I can imagine? Is that what's happening to that woman?
But the other thing is they move around. Right. So I have to believe that I want to believe that it wasn't like that the whole time. And I still want to give a little bit of credence to the fact that Palpatine set him up. And before I rewatched the movie for this podcast, I was thinking about that sequence and how I read that fan theory about Palpatine setting him up and that setting Anakin up by having Shmi taken and that that the Sand People just had her, right? They weren't complicit in her abduction. They
They were playing a role.
They were playing a role in the deal. But then when I watched the scene, I'm like, no, the way they have her tied up is not.
They're not like, hey, we got a new slave. She can cook all the meals.
Right.
That's not what's going on.
No.
It's not one of those like, oh, that's freaking dark.
Mm-hmm.
That's really awful.
It is.
And then
she terrible.
Dies in his hands. All right. Corey, thoughts?
I mean, that's all terrible.
I got something. I got a note here that says Palpatine was bridging minds before Snoke. So, like, if you think back to Last Jedi, the way that they were literally seeing one another, and that was supposedly Snoke that was bridging their minds to put them together.
Right.
Palpatine's doing that with Anakin by bridging what's happening with Shmi into his nightmares. Mm-hmm. He's doing that. I don't think it's just Anakin that's feeling it.
Creating the want for him to ask the question, how do I save people?
Right.
Because
I think I could
because Palpy knows the answer is come be my homie.
Come be my homie. You can sit next to my desk. I'll have a little desk made for you.
A second desk.
What's better than first desk?
Second desk.
Second desk.
In the Star Wars universe.
Here's a question for you. Boba is 10 years old. 10-year-old little Boba.
10, yep.
His dad's like, hey, let's go to this other planet and whatever. And then he watches his dad get his head chopped off. Mm-hmm. And he goes and picks that head up. And he's like, helmet's still good. I'm going to keep all this. Just shake my dad's head out of it. And then I got an outfit that I can't wear yet because I'm only 10. Mm-hmm. I got a ship parked out back that belongs to me now. Is 10-year-old Boba, like, he's just like out wilding right now? He's like, I guess I'm gonna go get a job, start killing people.
He does. He's in the Clone Wars, right? He makes he makes an
young
appearance.
Boba in there, huh?
Yeah, he wants to.
And he's just trying to kill
Mace
Obi-Wan.
Windu. No, Mace Windu. He
Yeah.
wants to kill Mace Windu. Real hard. Do you have any how the hells when you think about it?
I gotta have a hill. How the hell I don't have another beer right now? Can I get one?
We can get you.
Let's get a beer in the man.
I just thought about that. Thank you, Jimmy. And thank you for the pizza.
Absolutely.
Here's something else. I saw a video of a little girl who had watched all of the Clone War cartoons, right? Like a young girl, like 8 or something. And her dad's like, this will be a good place to start because these are kind of like for kids or whatever. And then she finally gets around to where she's watching the prequel trilogy with this little girl. And she gets to Revenge of the Sith and she's just crying. She's like, I don't want Anakin to turn into the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that's how that's
because she watched the Clone Wars. And that was another question I had is like, how different is this Anakin? Because this movie ends with, boy, the Clone Wars are starting now. And then you watch the show. Mm-hmm. And the show ends with episode 3.
And technically it intercuts.
Right.
I mean, you could, I'm sure somebody's done it where you can take part of that movie, the Revenge of the Sith, and intercut it
where they like
with the last 2 episodes.
Leave this room and go in here
right.
and how they talk to Ahsoka.
Yeah.
But so I just feel like when you watch the Clone Wars and you watch him with Snips.
Write that down. We need to find that.
You want to watch that supercut of Revenge of the Sith and Clone Wars?
Yeah, I'm sure it's out there. But how different, like Anakin is like a lovable kind of guy in the Clone Wars.
Yep.
And in this movie, he's not.
He has his moments for sure.
He's more off-putting in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can't hold a conversation without getting a temper tantrum about how
getting yelled at.
Hear me out.
Mm-hmm. I'm hearing.
He sealed the deal in this movie, right?
That's true.
Maybe some of his aggression.
He did seal the deal.
Angstiness is gone.
Ooh. Oh.
Right?
Oh.
See what I'm saying?
Oh.
He's worked it out.
So stay tuned. We're going to do a whole episode.
A whole sexy episode.
About
the sexy
about
times.
They're doing it.
In
And
the
doing
Star
it
Wars.
well in the Star Wars universe.
Use the Force.
That's one option. I don't know. That's just me throwing it out.
The other thing I was tracking for every movie in this situation is how big is your climax? Speaking of sexy times.
I had a whole mouthful of beer.
That was almost a legit spit take.
So the end of Mentis had, I think, 3 things going on or 4 things going on at the same time. There's like space battle and there's throne room
battle,
fight
and then the land battle.
Land battle with the army, and then there's Duel of the Fates. All that's happening at the same time. So in this one, they kind of spread it out. So like there's the shit in the robot factory, which I hate.
Yeah,
it looks like a side-scrolling, like old school video game. Like, oh no, jump through the hoops that you can tell obviously weren't there. It's all green screen. Like
right.
Duck, jump, duck. We'll put something in later. Oh, something flew at you. You did it. Like, I hate that scene.
Yay, you did it.
It's like that happens and it leads straight into the gladiator scene, which leads straight into kind of a battle because then both armies show up, droids and clones.
And then there's the clone.
And then there's the...
Yeah, you're right. It's more linear.
That happens. And then they get to the cave where they fight Dooku. So it's like none of that happens concurrently in this movie. It's spread out. So I think that was probably another part of the montage or the homage to Empire.
Because Empire didn't have...
Because Empire's just got like, they're trying to get out of Cloud City while he fights and finds out you're my father.
Right.
Like that's the climax of that movie. So I feel like they maybe weren't stacking it up like that in this one.
And that makes sense too, because isn't that when they, in the arena... That's when they reunite Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. What else?
How about you, Sideburns?
I think that covers us, right?
I think so. So, just like, so let's...
Hold on. You got a note here that says Lucas re-edits. What would you... I mean, I want the whole movie re-rendered, but what do you think Lucas would add or take away?
Oh, there's another question on there.
Yeah, there's another one.
Also, yeah, I feel like he would.
I just read the last question.
I feel like a lot of the special effects he would redo. I feel like a lot of the things that you can tell are happening where they would shoot them now in the volume, which looks a lot better. But
right.
Back then it was just a green screen, and he was like, "We're going to color in a whole town behind you," like, and it looks terrible most of the time. So I think I would.
Where would he put a song and dance number in this movie?
When they're in the club in the beginning, they go to a nightclub
that's
looking
true.
for a person.
It's the most appropriate place for them to put a song and dance routine.
There would be some dance fighting.
Right? Could they have a beach off?
They would beach each other off.
There we go.
Yeah. So final question: which character in this movie has the largest ding dong? Not character, I should say creature.
Creature.
Probably something in that arena.
I think it's probably the bull in the arena.
Yeah.
What do you
Anything bigger?
I bet Drax is hung like a horse.
Lars.
Right. Right. Clearly Lars had something going on.
Oh my God.
I think that's it then, right?
So
we hope you guys learned something.
So where does this movie rank? 1 to 11 for you? Because it's not 11 to me.
No. Phantom Menace would have to be 11. This is still low on the chart, but above Rise of Skywalker. I liked it a lot more this viewing, so it's above Rise of Skywalker for sure. I mean, hell, probably even above The Force Awakens.
Oh.
No.
I would say I would rather watch this than Rise of Skywalker. I would rather watch this than Last Jedi.
Mentis.
But that's it. No, I'd rather watch Mentis. I'd rather see Darth Maul again than Dooku for 2 hours.
You don't even really.
I got more out of
Liam
out of Mentis than this one.
And Liam Neeson is fun to watch in that movie too. Mm-hmm. He's great.
There's so much other bullshit in that movie.
There's so much bullshit in this movie. They're really fighting it out, neck and neck.
What about you? Sideburns.
This movie for the longest time was at the bottom for me. Like it's the one that I just didn't want to watch this one. It's the one that I would skip.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that way about it anymore. It's probably just one up from the bottom.
Yeah.
But I have more respect for this movie after this watching than I did before it. And it's not perfect at all. But it's still a Star Wars. And I have to believe that part of my change is I've watched all of the Clone Wars. I know where that character's going, and then seeing them bringing back Anakin in the Ahsoka series, that I don't know. I don't want to say rehabilitation of the character,
right?
But I gave.
But it's a little fuller.
I gave the character a lot more latitude on this viewing than I ever did before, and I liked it. It was fun.
It is weird to think, like, when we watched this movie in the theater in 2002, we had never seen Anakin. We'd seen a child,
right?
And we'd seen Darth Vader, but we'd never seen Anakin.
Yeah.
We'd never seen him.
And I think seeing Anakin being that whiny and hot-headed and stilted was off-putting.
Yeah.
Right? I think we wanted more from our first viewing of Anakin.
Yeah.
I know I did. And that's probably why my opinion about the movie has changed, since we have now seen more of Anakin. We saw him become a general. We saw him, fall,
right,
and become Vader in a much more complete arc. And then now we had the benefit of seeing, his Force Ghost redemption arc with Ahsoka, and he's just a much richer character now.
I think from the perspective that we have now, and maybe we can talk about this when we do Revenge of the Sith next. But I feel like I have a different arc in mind for the this whole trilogy. I think the first movie should have been 10 minutes.
Right.
The first movie should have been the prologue to the real episode 1, where we start with Hayden Christensen.
Gotcha.
But we can talk about that next time. I think that I have in my head canon like a whole different way that works. Yeah, we can make it. I ain't scared.
We can do that now.
Use the Force.
All right, I think that's it then.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Happy Life Day.
You got your shout outs you got to say? Do we still have clothing on TeePublic?
We do. As a matter of fact, yeah, let's talk about that. We got pictures from a couple of listeners. Shout out Drew Kellogg. He got a hoodie.
Nice.
A hoodie?
Yeah.
We can get
nice.
hoodies.
And I asked him about it. I was like, what's the quality on that? Because the T-shirts are pretty
The
damn
t-shirts
good.
are nice,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I got a T-shirt also. But I asked him, he was like, honestly, he's like, I paid for the upcharge, and it's the nicest hoodie I own.
Oh, wow.
So if you're going to go on TeePublic and get a We Are a Star Wars hoodie, do the upcharge. He said it was only like $7 extra or something.
Nice.
Shout out Drew.
My brother Travis got a shirt and a mug.
That's awesome. I need to get a mug.
So
if you would like us to shout you out by name on this podcast,
Go buy merch.
merch. Drew sent a picture to our account on We Are a Star Wars on Instagram.
That's great.
Yes.
At We Are a Star Wars on Instagram, yeah. So shout out those to Trav and Drew. You can still get the shirts there. Just go to tpublic.com, and then we made it kind of hard to search for, so we don't get taken down by Disney again.
We're sneaky.
But you can definitely go to the Alabama Take store on TeePublic. The Alabama Take is our network of friends and fellow podcasters. We've got a bunch of podcasts over there. You can go to thealabamatake.com. We've got a couple of different sports podcasts right now, a TV podcast, book podcast, and wrestling podcast.
And I think they've got a podcast about podcasts.
Probably so. You should go check all of those out, and you can follow the Alabama Take on all social media. We're not super active on our socials except for Instagram.
But we're going to change that in 2024, we promise.
You're signing me up for more shit. It sounds
You're
like
the producer. You're Brown Leader.
Brown Leader.
Brown Leader, you're going
Brown
in.
Leader.
We are on Threads. We don't do
chocolate starfish. They're on my tail.
So I think that's it. Happy Life Day, everyone.
Happy Life Day.
Happy Life Day.
We'll
We are
see
a
y'all
Star
next
Wars.
time. We are a Star Wars.
We are a Star Wars.